Hello, beings of planet Earth. It is I, your host, Brooke. And welcome to Within a Brooke. Today we are going to be talking about acceptance, and acceptance leads to letting go, which leads to clarity, right? So, basically, that's what it is, right? It's like once you accept something within your life, sometimes we are so in it, and we want something to work out so bad that we're holding on to it so much. And it's like things start to change, and the universe takes you into a different direction, into different portals, right? And then you're like, no, I want to stay within this reality. Right? And the universe is like, no, there's something better for you. Just accept what's going on and release it so that you may open up to the new story I have for you, or to the better energy, right? So themes that have been hard for me to accept within my life, I will go through. And yeah, welcome in. Thank you for being here. I hope you are all having a beautiful day. I went to the gym, got a car wash, I got a bubbler. I may go to the park after this with Ludo. I might take a nap and maybe do some of my tarot stuff. But let me know how your day is going. Let me know what things have been hard for you to accept, or if you are having trouble accepting something now, right? So, yeah, let's go back a couple years. When I first started my journey, actually, I think this may have even been before my awakening. Um, and then some realizations happened. But so I used to get my son every other week, right? And it was so hard for me, or actually every other weekend. And it was so hard for me to not be there for him, right? Because my ex at the time, he had a lot of support, a lot of family. He lived with his family and had babysitters and stuff like that, and the financial stability, and I did not. And if you guys have been rocking with me for a while, you know how much I love my son, right? I'm gonna try not to get emotional. It might happen. So within that time, I was going through my divorce. I came out as being gay. I started a relationship with Sammy. I moved a state away, and then I would get my son every other weekend. I would go stay at one of my parents. And every time I had to drop my son off at school and leave him, oh, wow, I would have a panic attack. And I would just feel all of this emotion, and I would feel like I wasn't good enough. And I would feel like I was a horrible mother, right? And eventually, and my son, I think he would feel my energy and he would get sad too. So then that would make me even more sad, and we were just feeling each other's sadness. And I started working on my spiritual work. I had the dark night of the soul. I had to reflect and had to figure out the shadows and everything. And I would see that on days I was trying to be more positive, right? And I would see on days where I would be happy, he would be happy, right? And I'm like, huh, okay. And then on days where I was sad, he would be sad. And I'm like, you know what? I need to accept. And then I heard this thing where it was every soul has their own design. Every soul has their own story, even your children. Even your sister, even your brother, even your cousin, even those people that you love dearly. And I started to think, my son, this is where he is supposed to be. And this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm not stable enough to take him full time. He has more family here. I call him all the time. And I just had to accept that this is the way that it was, and I had to make the best of it. And once I accepted that, and once I accepted myself And I'm like, you know what? I'm here when I can be. I'm buying food. I'm buying clothes. It is what it is. I have to accept this reality, right? So I had to accept it so I wasn't causing us both pain every time. Every time I would drop him off. And even during the weekend when I was with him, I would just be thinking about not being able to be there for him. So thinking about that and resisting this reality was having me not even be there for him when I was with him, because I was so upset, and sad about the situation, right? And it was robbing me of my experience because I wasn't accepting it. After I accepted that, you know, it became a lot easier. And I would call him, and I would, when I was with him, we would do fun stuff. And at the time, I was still like a big alcoholic too, so I was dealing with that, but I was there. And then I slowed way down on that too, because I'm like, you know what? My time with him is precious. So I started to become a better person, be a better mom for him. So that was one of the things that I had to accept. And then I was able to let go. And then now I have him all the time. And I love our bond. He's 11 now. You know, we text all the time. And he comes here. We have a good time. And then he goes back to his dad's. And then now we get him in the summer, right? So everything works out. Everything always works out, right? Another thing that I had to accept that was really frustrating for me, especially being on this divine course, and understanding that, you know, if you know that you have a higher purpose, you just know, you can feel it all the time, right? And that's what I felt with these messages. And at the time when this started to come into my life, I was working 12-hour jobs, sometimes working 6 days a week, working overtime. There was no AC. I was working with like 25, 24 other people. It was hard labor. And when I was there, it was like walking into hell every day, because I was putting myself there, right? Because I didn't want to accept that this is my reality, right? Because I wanted to be somewhere else. And then, you know, coming back to the spiritual journey of understanding what acceptance is, when you are resisting something, you're going to stay in it, right? Until the universe is like, hey, wake up, you know, there's better things out there. There's opportunities everywhere, right? And then I started to accept that this was my reality at this moment. I started to accept that this was my reality. But I know that there is something better out there. And that is what kept me going. And when I was at work, I did my best to do my job, not anyone else's job, right? There was a lot going on. There was so many triggers, which was my last video, if you want to check that out. There were so many triggers that I had to go through at that job. And the universe puts you within these positions so that you can learn, so that your soul can evolve. Your soul picked this reality, picked this body that you're in now, this storyline for you to evolve, right? For you to learn, for you to free yourself. So it's like a school. Wherever the universe puts you is where your lesson is, until you like learn most of the karmic lessons, and then you move into your dharma, right? From your karma to your dharma. Anyway, so I started to accept my reality, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make the best of it. This is where I am now, and home is always where your heart is. Heaven is always where your heart is, and you can be within your heart space any time of the day, no matter what situation you are in, right? And this is not ignoring your reality. It's accepting every aspect of it, but understanding that you have boundaries and you have love for yourself to implement those boundaries. So like there would be people coming up to me being like, oh, well, this guy is doing this over here. And I'm like, that isn't my job to think about what he's doing. I'm doing my job right here, right? And I'm cool with it, man. We got good numbers. We're doing good. We're here. And then whenever I would have downtime, I would imagine that I was free. And I was free within that moment, because what you are, your vibration that you are, is what you magnetize to yourself. I started to understand, and I started making more videos, and I'm like, this is where my heart is. And I am free, and I am supported to do this work within my life. And eventually, I kept getting signs that I was leaving work, and I would say to my guides, I would be like, send me a sign that I will be out of here, right? I accept this, yes, but also I know there's something better. And then I would see like 11:11 on the clock, right? And I know people talk about angel numbers so much, and it's just like beautiful little confirmations, right? If you think they're overrated, then they'll be overrated. But if you think that they're magical and that they are a sign from the divine, and you start to understand all the numbers, that is what they will be, right? So, and then I would just listen to spiritual videos every day at work. And I was like, you know what? This is my school. I'm learning all of these. I'm having all of these triggers. I'm working through myself. I'm learning a lot while I'm sitting here listening. I didn't have to really talk to anyone because I was on a station by myself all the time. So I would just vibe out to music. I would dance a lot, feel within myself, or I would listen to music like almost the whole time. And then when I had to conversate, I would conversate, and then eventually I got lifted out of there, right? Well, my shoulder went out, and then a couple other things happened that I had to go through too, to understand my worth and my body's worth, and to go through that. And now I'm here, right? And let's see. So that was accepting my reality as it was, but knowing that there was a higher evolution coming into play, which there was, and there is. There is always a solution to every problem. When you accept your reality instead of fighting against it, portals open up, right? The solutions come in. You just have to get out of your mind and stop pushing back the universe, right? Understand that where you are is divine timing, even if it fucking sucks. Come back to home, come back to peace, come back to your heart in every situation, right? And understand this is where I am. There's something better for me. Okay, moving on. We have money. Money was a huge thing for me, right? Not accepting that I never had enough, right? And this was my whole life, right? Growing up, I grew up in a trailer. We always moved around. My mom was pretty much a single mother of 3 kids growing up. We also had dogs from time to time, and she would always be at work. We couldn't really have like luxury things. Sometimes we had cable, sometimes we didn't. Sometimes we had internet, sometimes we didn't, right? And then my dad, he was very money hungry, right? And he's like, money, money, money. But then he was also like an alcoholic. And, he lost everything when my grandparents passed away. And I had like 4-wheelers, dirt bikes and stuff growing up, which was really cool. I was always outside. I grew up on a lake, but it was still like, I never asked for anything because I knew that we didn't really have enough, So coming into adolescence and into adulthood, it was like, I never had enough, right? And I never I was always in that loop. And eventually I'm like, you know what? What is money? Fuck it. I have love. I never saw the importance of money until like my car got repoed. I couldn't afford things for my son. I always had good jobs though. So I was always a little sustainable. I suppose I really liked working when I was younger. Like I still like working, but like it was like I would get money, I would spend it. I would get money, I would spend it. It wouldn't stay with me, right? And that's why I moved with Sammy upon love too, because my wife now, because I couldn't support myself. And she's like, you know what? Come over here, get a job. We can do this together. My ear just rang. And so I went there, and still it was like I was always still relying on her, right? And eventually through this journey, I had to go through and I had to accept that, I started learning about money, but I wasn't pushing back anymore. I'm like, you know what? I may not have this in my bank account, but I accept this and I know more is always coming in, and then it started building. And then I'm like, money always stays with me. I love money. Money loves me. I'm in a marriage with money. When money goes, it always comes back, right? Rather than being like, I don't care about money, or being so like, I would be so scared to like get a rock in my windshield because I didn't have enough money to pay to get that fixed, right? And eventually, like, I manifested that to happen too. And I'm like, shit, dude, I knew that was going to happen. So I had to like really relax and just chill and be like, you know what? I accept that I don't have money in this moment, but I'm healing my relationship. I forgot what the word was. With money, right? And I accepted it. And every time that I would be low on funds, I would be like, I accept this, but money is always coming back. Because when you're low on funds, you don't want to accept it. Maybe you go into debt. I was in debt. And then I climbed my way out of it, thankfully. And, I started building money momentum. Money kept coming to me. Have a beautiful, divine, loving relationship with money now. And money is always here for me. But I had to accept my reality of, okay, money isn't here now, but it will be. I'm always supported, right? Being able to accept it and not fight against it. I feel like people, or myself, who was always fighting against it, I always needed to search for more. I always needed to overwork myself. I always needed to like come up with some other way to get money, right? And then once I accepted it, I opened up the portal for money to flow easily to me, right? And last but not least for this video, damn, 17 minutes, all right. I just wanted to get out there some different situations and really go thoroughly through them. So, yes, I know that we get the point and everything, but this is what Spirit led me to do, so. Okay, so last but not least is accepting myself. I hated myself for a long time. I hated the way I looked. I hated my voice. I hated my hair. It was just like, and I would always put myself down. I would never speak up. I would never let myself be seen because I didn't accept myself, because I was never seen growing up. And that was my karma. I was never seen. I never really got compliments. I never got boosted up or anything like that. And I would get put down. I was bullied. I was bullied for my race. And it crushed me down, right? Down. And I didn't want to accept myself. I'm like, what the fuck am I? Why? And eventually I had to accept myself and start loving myself and accept me for the way I was. And then once I accept myself for who I was like, you know what? I finally accept myself. Now, how can I love myself, right? I accept the way that I am. Now, how can I elevate this, right? What is the evolution of me? And it was like gaining confidence, loving my voice, coming into my voice. You could see before someone gains their confidence, maybe sometimes I don't even know how I used to talk. Maybe sometimes their voice is a little unsure of themselves, but when they come into themselves, they're not afraid to take up space. They're not afraid to speak. They're not afraid to look someone in the eye or hold contact with somebody, right? I love myself. I love my body. I love my voice. I love who I am. But first I had to accept myself, because if I didn't accept myself, I would always be fighting myself, right? So, this is it. This is my video of acceptance. Every time you deny what the universe has for you, you keep it within a box. You keep it stagnant. You keep it lowered. You lower the bar rather than raising the bar on your spirit, on yourself, on your evolution, and upon others too, right? Accepting others for who they are. They're not me. If I always nitpick somebody for who they were, how they looked, what they're doing, I'm taking all of the energy that I could be using to manifest my reality and putting it out there to shit on someone else, right? Which is actually shitting on me, because when you judge somebody, it's because you're judging yourself. You don't want to look that way, right? But accept everyone, because everyone is not you, but also everyone is you. When you love yourself, you can love everyone else, right? Because you're like, okay, I don't know what their story is. They are just who they are. And forgive them, for they do not know. But also, I love them. And does this mean that I need to have them in my life? Fuck no, dude. If I need to set a boundary, I'm gonna do that, right? So accepting others too, I suppose, is in there. So with this, my beautiful angels, I will see you on the next one. Thank you all for being here. Have a lovely day. And yes, blessed be. Peace.